Was this not okay? It wasn't picking up my mic before. Good thing we checked first. Okay. Wonderful. 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 Alright. Dara, I see you in the there's no okay, 1 second. Let me make a channel for the chat. Live class channel. Dara, can you put oh my god, you're talking, aren't you? Jesus. Okay, hold on. 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Dara, can you hear me? Oh. Hello, Dara, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. Very odd, very awkward, but we see. I just need to make sure that the audio is there, it makes sense, it can be heard, so on and so forth. The stream chat is here. Actually, that's another thing. Can you actually just tell me if you can see anything? Am I even sharing screen yet? No, I'm not. Okay, hold on. No, I'm not. Dara. Ooh, just for the sake of it, let me just make sure that this is... Whoa! Discord gave up and started again. Okay. Interesting. Share my screen. OBS. Let's go. We do that. Alright. OBS virtual camera. Turn that on. Okay. But it's reversed. Okay. Can you guys do me a favor just for now and just go to the Twitch, because I seem to not be able to have the OBS. I didn't think it was going to be horizontal flipped in the beginning. Sorry about that. I don't know why it did that. I don't know why it does that. Okay. Unless OBS settings. Output. No. Oh, I can hear somebody. I can hear somebody, yes. I didn't actually expect somebody to be in audio. I thought people would be typing just for the sake of keeping it visible, but at least for right now, for setting it up, I'm happy. Screaming. For the best, no GDPR accidents, and you know how that goes, right? Randomly frying plantain in the background and arguing with siblings and family. Everything you'd want on episode 1. I am about 80%, 95% sure I'm going to re-record this later, just so that I have a better version. This is my first time doing anything like this. I hate it. Just saying. Cool. But yeah, if you can at least let me know if the audio is good on Twitch, I will be very happy. I'm recording, I have a virtual camera, and I'm streaming, but I'm going to turn off the virtual camera because Discord is not cooperating. Can you click on General? Can you go to the General tab, the channel General, and just click the link there? Bye. I'm going to leave here as well for now. Okay. Type in here if you can. Nice and easy. You, too wide. You here, fine. Alright. Cool. Yeah, I'm quite literally just waiting to see if anybody is in the live chat. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm just going to get started because, once again, if nobody is here live, then my start time doesn't actually matter since everybody's going to be watching the recordings, if that makes sense. All right. Either way, cool. Let me. I think I have one Twitch window open. That's one. This is another. Cool. No one is in here. Oh, I need a sign of life. I need a sign of life just to make sure that the audio is here, it's working, and it's good. I just need a sign of life. Just need a sign of life. Anybody. Because I don't want to go through and, you know what, let me just turn it on for myself on my TV or something. No, will it work? Oof. You're in the Twitch? Oh, Kaz, thank you very much. Yeah. How's the audio? You can't type in Twitch. Okay. Okay, if you can't type in Twitch, let me see what I can do. Okay. Okay. Just to not clutter up general, can we all move to live chat? Let me. Oh, live class, sorry. Yeah. We'll do it like that. I can see live class here, like quite literally. I'll be able to see it. I'm just going to put that on the side because obviously I think Discord may be a little doxy and I don't want to dox myself. So just going to have that here on the side. But the stream chat is here. It's visible for myself. I've got Visual Studio Code. So I have Visual Studio Code here. I've got an empty web browser here. And I feel we should be able to have the first session. I should stop recording this and I'll record once I actually start so that, you know, I don't have to shame myself with the awkward editing time. Let me just make a post on Twitter because I believe a few people were looking to join and some people may not have joined at the time. But yeah, oh, that's loud. Basics of JavaScript. I have to actually post a link to the actual Twitch, don't I? How do I get a link to the Twitch with ease, quickly, and effectively? Let me do that. Twitch.tv. Is it Twitch.tv? Is that actually what the URL is? Have I actually always had it be like that? What is the website? Yeah, it is that. Okay, that's cool, I guess. Cool. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Cool. All right. Well, I have 2 viewers. I have no one in live class. I feel that someone said that the audio is fine. So I'll trust that they aren't lying to me, because they gain nothing by lying. So yeah, live class is there. Dara is typing in live class. I am very ready to press start recording. Let me stop the virtual camera, save some processor power. What is here? What is here? What is here? What was underneath here? Hi, yes, audio is great. Wonderful. Okay. Hello, everyone. If you can tune in. Okay. Hold on. Let me do a young quote tweet. Please do. Okay. So, I'm going to press record from now. Hey everyone, here I am. My name is Addy. I am starting this sort of mentorship / class / tutoring idea for getting people up to speed. Well, not up to speed, but just teaching people how to program. I personally am coming up to about 10 years in the industry, and I have reached a point where I feel I wish to reach senior developer comfortably, without the what's the word? Imposter syndrome. So one thing I really do wish to do is reinforce my foundations, and the best way of doing that, I know, is to teach. So I am here trying my best to set up a class or a method of learning the best way I feel it could be to get to where I am. In the very beginning, I am going to kind of do a, what's the word? Crash course to get to React developer and deploying your work onto a platform like Vercel. I will, after the crash course, go through every topic and reinforce and do deep dives and so on and so forth. I do have a Discord, a Discord link, which I have here somewhere. Okay, I do have a Discord link here somewhere, and with that Discord link, I will post it in here. It's there, so if you are somehow on this channel and you can see that, please feel free to jump in the Discord link. The link to this session will be recorded, and not only will it be recorded, the link to the recording will sit inside the Discord channel. It will be there. These lessons and sessions are free, at least, well, for everybody that's in here right now. I think that these are going to be evergreen, and that is something I really do care to do a lot. I wish to have evergreen content in the end, but I understand that many people, from what I asked in the Discord, were very interested in, I want to learn front-end development with React. I do not know where you guys stand, everybody listening, so I feel that the best first lesson is going to be an introduction to the basics of JavaScript. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do now. JavaScript is it's a very rich and expressive programming language in and of its own right. All right, so I'm going to talk today about the basic concepts of JavaScript, as well as some pitfalls for people who have not used JavaScript before. While I believe that this is going to be of great value for people that have zero programming experience, I really do hope that even people who have used other programming languages may benefit from learning about some of the peculiarities of JavaScript. Yeah, so let's start with some syntax basics. Right? A simple variable declaration would go as such. Ooh. Right? This is considered a variable. Right? Oh, 1 second, sorry. Look at me being a poor streamer. Ooh, let's increase. Oh, that's a little excessive. Let's go with that. Right? I hope that that is a nice, visible, and legible size for everybody. Cool. This is considered a variable, right? Variable foo equals hello world, right? This is a simple variable declaration. Cool. Something very important. Oh, in fact, hold on. Let's do this. Is that going to work like this? Cool. I just ran this file. Variable foo equals hello world. Console.log foo. And you can see in the console, it logged out the value of foo. Let me just make sure that I can still, read if anybody's typing anything. Really sorry. Cool. The variable foo. In JavaScript, white space has no meaning. Like, there's no importance with it. So if I do that, it still reads and works just fine, right? In fact, YOLO, even the new line doesn't break it. Okay? JavaScript. Cool. Parentheses indicate precedence, right? So if I say variable to, okay, yeah, we're just going to do that so that whatever I type in here is going to be read out there, right? So 2 times 3 plus 5. Okay? It is going to evaluate to 11, right? 2 times 3, 6 plus 5, 11. But if, oh, sorry, let me even update that. I should have updated it before. See, bad streamer. Okay. Oh, no, not white space. We're talking about, how do you spell this word? Look at me. Precedence. Parentheses indicate precedence, right? If I do that now, with the parentheses, the value should change, right? Oh, behave. 16. It was 11 before, now it's 16. Why? Because the parentheses indicate precedence. 3 plus 5 must be done first. So now you have 8. 2 times 8, 16. Quick maths. All right. Tabs enhances readability, but has no special meaning. Oh my god. but has no special meaning. So what do I mean by this? Okay, variable foo equals empty function. I will explain more what I am doing as we go on, right? So variable foo equals return 5, right? So if I run that, running, oh, execute for, oh, sorry. Yeah. So white space means nothing. So the tabs technically count as white space in the same way as the empty line. So 5 still, regardless, spaces, empty lines. Sorry, it's coming up saying code language not supported or defined because I'm saying run what is happening in the console. I have to click up here and then it comes through. Wonderful. Now I just press format. Cool. Let's talk about operators, right? So we have the basic operators, which should be, let's go talk about concatenate. You know what? Let me turn that off because I'm not. Can I turn that off? No, I can't really. Never mind. Concatenation, right? So if we have variable foo equals hello and variable bar equals world. By the way, in JavaScript, the semicolon is optional. I like the semicolon personally because I believe it has increased legibility, right? But there are languages where the semicolon is not used. One that comes to mind immediately is Python. But we're doing JavaScript here today for now, and yeah, I'm just trying to keep track of time. It's been 10 minutes and I've, shown you so and so much. So let me see if I can try and get us where we need to get to. So foo, hello world, bar is sorry, I don't think I've properly explained what a variable is. A variable is a container, right? I am saying there is a container called pot. And what is inside pot? If I say console log pot, right? What is in pot? Nothing, which is why it's undefined. So there is a container. Let me even call it container so you guys probably get a little bit better. All right, inside container, it has this. So what do I want the container to have? I want the container to have container to have stuff. So I am logging into the console the value of container. So this variable is considered a container. So just like literally, whether it's a cup, a box, whatever metaphor you wish to use that makes it make sense, just say this is what holds the value. So I declare a value, and then I say, and I then assign, I declare a variable, then I assign a value to the variable. So I assign a value to the variable. You can obviously do the shorthand where you assign a variable at the same time as your definition or declaration. Cool. Sorry about that. Oh, this is why I need live chat. Alright, no worries. Please ask a question if anything I say or do is, not doing what you expect or need it to. but I do have all of this written up. I'm going from my script. I will put it up on Notion, and if there are any questions which you post up after reading through it or watching this, please place them into the Discord. I will either answer them there or at the beginning of the next session. Okay, so operators. We start with concatenation, right? So I want to console.log foo, or I want to console.log the value of the variable foo, and I want to add an empty string and then add the value of bar. And then I want to add the value about to what I'm console logging. So the output of this, what do you guys believe it should be? Well, if you assumed hello plus a space plus world, you were correct. Besides multiplication, we do also have besides concatenation. Oh, I'm so bad at this. We do also have multiplication. You know what? Let me just cool. Right? 2 times 3. And then we also have 2 divided by 3. As you can see, those both work. I can do a CLG, sorry. In fact, let me do it like that. Two divided by 3. So we should have 3 logs, hello world, and then the results of these. So one should be 6 and the other one should be 66%. Wonderful. Now, incrementing and decrementing is what we're doing next. So let me go variable I equals 1. So the variable I will have the value of 1. The variable j will equal plus plus I. Okay? And the variable k will equal I plus plus. This is one of those programming, one of those things which comes to you over time when you program. When you do this, it is considered a shorthand. What this means is increase the value of I and then store it. And then this is get the value of I and then increase it and then store it. Okay? Cool. So let me show you here. So let me remove all these other consoles. I can leave them for now. What am I going to do here? Okay. Concat. Multiplication and division. And now we're going to talk about increment. All right, cool. So I want to, over here, we set the value of I equals I. We've set the value of I. Oh, sorry. Let me make sure it's easier for you guys to see. And now we've got J and K, right? I equals I and J equals J. I equals I, J equals J, K equals K. So with that, we should now be able to see exactly what happens with these 3 lines of code. Let me just do this so that you guys can see. Maybe it makes it a little bit more readable, right? So in fact, let me do. All right. Cool. Let us see what happens here. Concat multiplication. We're there doing incrementation. So the very first line, the value of I is 1. And then afterwards, because you increment before, the value of I has changed to 2, and J is now equal to it. Cool. And because we're going top down, the value of I is still going to be 2 when it's time for K, but interestingly enough, I equals 3, J is still equal to 2, and K is equal to 2, because the value of I was saved to K before the incrementation happens. So this shorthand, I'm going to have it here as increment J equals 2, I equals 2. Post increment K equals 2 and I equals 3. This is going to be very important and useful when we get to loops later. All right. JavaScript is very different to languages that are statically typed. You know what? Let me do it like this. Cool. Right. So, for example, it's something called it's called a dynamic language. Is something a dynamic language. Another example is Python. Easy there, bro. Statically typed languages include TypeScript, Java, C, C++, C#, Rust, Go, etc. The benefits of a language like JavaScript is its flexibility, which is a benefit and a weakness. It's a strength and a weakness of JavaScript. It is very free, which is what I'm going to show you now. Oh, hold on, you have to close it. All right, cool. In JavaScript, numbers and strings will behave in ways that you might not expect. Hold on, let me just put on the word wrap on here. View word wrap that you might not expect. Actually, I realize once again that I have failed you all in forgetting to display to you the basic types of JavaScript. Okay, types of, right? So they are things we call primitives. Okay, so the one, cool. Firstly, we have strings. Next, we have numbers. Next, we have Booleans. We also have arrays. And we have objects. Have I missed anything? I don't believe. I think. Oh, okay. I think we also have, well, undefined, which I showed you beforehand, and we have null. I want to say. I believe these are the basic types or the primitives of JavaScript. Let me just double check if anybody has messaged me. Okay, so audio is still great. Thank you. We've got 4 viewers. Great. I do promise I will re-record this to make it make more sense, and I will have all of this written up. I will share it in the channel. Let me just see if anybody has said anything. No. Awesome. Never mind. Cool. So the very important things are that all types except for these ones are primitives, whereas these two are reference types. I will get right back to operators with this, but I feel that this is kind of important as well. So let me just do a let me just do a young line here. Basic types in JavaScript. Okay, so we already know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so strings have a feature where you can say first thing we want to do is console log the value plus a string is this many long. Here's something. A string is a type where you have access to the length. So if I run this, the very last thing we see is basic types in JavaScript. String is this many characters. Oh, hold on, let me even do this. Yeah, let's make it a little pretty. Cool. String is this many characters long. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this many characters long. A string is an array of characters, which is nice because that's a nice see, this is why I need a script. It's a nice way of explaining it. It works well, it rolls off the tongue. I will find the word eventually and it will be in the PDF I share. But it's a very nice, simple way of showing that a string is really an array of characters. Okay, let me just... Okay, so the type string will show you, there's a few, funny parts which comes with string, and I will go in depth with them later, maybe even another day. But numbers are exactly how you expect them to be, right? Numbers are exactly how you expect them to be, CLG. So you can say is 1, 2, 3 bigger than, 1, 2, 3 is bigger than 3, 2, 1 question mark plus 1, 2, 3 larger than 3, 2, 1. I think I may have to do this. Let's see what comes up. False. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3 is obviously not bigger than 3, 2, 1. And do I even need this? Let me just double check. Sorry. No. Number 1, 2, 3 is bigger than it. It behaves exactly as you believe it's supposed to, and you get all the basic math operations built into JavaScript and most other programming languages in this day and age. Booleans. Booleans. It's something which we just saw here. Booleans are values that are either true or false. We will definitely, I do have that in the script. I do recall seeing it in the script. We will get to these a little later. We'll get more in depth with these a little later, but just letting you know that the value of Booleans can only ever be true or false, and you can create them with things like this. The value of this is false because you have made a comparison operation, right? It's operator which we have, which we're going to go through now. I just wanted to make sure that I at least said them, and I will go into depth with what the reference types and primitive types are, like the difference between the two. But I needed to make sure that I could at least show you these three, because they are the foundation and the building blocks of any other type that you do, or anything that you do in programming in JavaScript. We have undefined. Undefined means exactly what it means, right? So 6 equals undefined is exactly the same as me doing that. There is no defined value to the variable 6, which is different to null, because null actually means nothing. Null and undefined are not the same thing. In fact, let's see. Null. All right. The very last value, false. Wait. Yeah, Booleans, false. Yep. The very last value, null and undefined, do not mean the same thing. Null means nothing. Undefined means we didn't assign a value. It's kind of weird, but you do get used to it. Mags Momomo, thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Please let me know if the audio is good, if there's anything I skipped, if there's any questions that you have. We are kind of 30 minutes into the lesson, and I do have quite a lot to go through still. So let's get it cracking. All right, so we go back to this should have been at the very top. I'm so sorry. Let me just move all of this. Cool. Just let's pretend that was there at the top, okay? Wonderful. Thank you for cooperating. All right, incrementing and decrementing. But actually, we're now talking about operations between numbers and strings. Okay, so in JavaScript, numbers and strings will occasionally behave in ways you may not expect, right? So the difference between addition and concatenation, right? So cool. So if we do, okay. The issue is that this keeps going on. You know what? To be fair, we don't need any of this other stuff. We have a video as live evidence, right? Equals 1. Variable bar. Oof. I'm so sorry. I am panicking. So if you do a console log of foo plus bar, what do you believe we're going to get out of this? Remember, JavaScript is a dynamically typed language, so you will not get 3. Instead, you're going to get 12. All right? What happened here was you have the number 1 being added to the string 2. So for this to happen in a dynamically typed language, we need to make sure that one or the other has to change types to be what we need it to be. So you can see type of foo, type of bar. Foo is a number, bar is a string. Foo bar type of foo plus bar is going to be sorry, precedence. Number, string, string. I'm sorry. But if you wanted to make sure that you got the number 3 here, what you can do is convert the string into a number, which is called coercion. And you do that with the number constructor, right? Number constructor. An object that represents a number of any kind. All JavaScript numbers are 64-bit floating points. Wonderful. Which means now, we don't need this, sorry, hold on. We get the number 3. Why? Because by using the number constructor, we were able to coerce the value 2 and pass that into a number, which you can now add together and get the value 3. The number constructor, when called as a value, will have the effect of casting its argument into a number. A shortcut of this actually is it's called the unary plus. It's unary plus operator. Right, so foo, which is a number, plus bar does the exact same thing. All right. I promise you, nobody will be upset with you doing this instead, if it is easier for you to remember and use. In fact, I prefer doing this because it's easier to read. But it's nice to know if you're ever reading code that this is a way of coercing the value into a number. Wonderful. Logical operators. Cool. Let us talk about logical and or operators. Foo equals 1, variable bar equals 0, variable baz equals 2. We have the basics here, set up and set out. So I mean, okay, just for the sake of it, I'm going to log them out so you can see. But for right now, let me double check if there's any messages. Still no messages. Still out here on my own. Oof. I mean, we try. We try. Cool. If I want to see what foo or bar returns, it should return, foo or bar should return the value 1. Why does it return the value 1? This is more to do with, you know what, let me even do that for you. Foo, right? It's something which we're going to go into when we're talking about truthy and falsy things, when I mentioned beforehand with regards to Booleans. But the value foo equals 1. Now, if I say the opposite of foo, it's going to be false. Why did that happen? Because, like I mentioned before, JavaScript is a dynamically typed language, which means there are multiple times where it's not going to do what you intuitively believe it should do. So if you go into Chrome, it's probably a little bit quicker here, I'll be honest. All right, you have this here. So when you go into the console, you have access to effectively JavaScript. JavaScript is something that was built to run in browsers. All your web browsers, no matter who you are, no matter which browser it is, runs with JavaScript. So one thing which you can do is you do 0. What is the value of 0? What's the opposite of 0? It's true. But what's the opposite of 0? Is false. This is called Boolean Coercion, where you take a value in JavaScript and then you get to see, oh, so sorry, once again, bad streamer. Okay. 0 equals true. That's false. Does 1 equal true? Yes. Does 100? Oh, yes. What about -1? -4? Minus numbers are falsy. 0 is false, but positive numbers are true. One thing which is interesting is, instead of doing equals true, you can just do what is the opposite of a value. So the opposite of 0, and remember, if does 0 equal true? False. 0 does not equal true. 0 is falsy, which means that the opposite of 0 equals true? Yes. So what about the opposite of 0? It's false. That is the way of getting a Boolean value out of a non-Boolean value. Very weird. But you can do this with any of the types in JavaScript. Right? Even, ooh, typo. Even that, right? Not a string, so on and so forth. So we've done numbers. We have done strings. An empty string is false, but as soon as there's any content whatsoever, it's true. We've done negative oh, that's interesting. Negative numbers are actually truthy. Very interesting. So the only actual falsy number is 0. I saw that before and I was curious, but it's good that I remember. Negative numbers are still numbers, but they're not 0. 0 is the only falsy number. That's very interesting. JavaScript. But yeah, so if we do a variable foo equals 1 like we did before, variable bar equals 0, variable baz equals 2. Cool. So that is effectively what we're going to be going through here. So if foo or bar returns 1, which is true. Now, if we do bar or foo, it's the exact same thing. Now, if we do foo and bar, it's going to return 0. Why does it return 0? Because or means either one of these values should be true, and it will be true. So 1 and 0 is 1, 0 and 1 is 1. But and, a logical and means both have to resolve as true. Okay? So foo and bar equals 0. Foo and baz is 2, which is true, and we know that because true. We can do baz and foo, which is still going to be true because it's going to just result as 1, right? Why does it do that? Second value is the one that goes through, right? So if true and true, cool. What's the second value? That's what's happening here with the AND operator. So with the AND operator, I'm gonna show you that in a sec. Let me show you that now. It's not entirely clear because, you know, I'm still a little lacking, but it may not be clear from the example, but the OR operator returns the value of the first truthy operand or argument, right? The very first truthy operand or argument. Or in cases when neither of them are truthy, it will return the last of both. If neither are truthy, it will return the last operand argument. Jeez. All right. Well, whereas the AND operator returns the value of the first falsy operand, or the value of the last truthy argument if they're both truthy. So, which is what we're seeing here. How did I just say? If it's, because it's OR, this will return the first truthy because it is OR. If this one is true, there's no need to check bar. It just resolves true and skips. Bar was false, so it returns foo, and it just goes. Foo and bar, the first falsy. Let me just make sure I wrote it right there. The first false operation. So foo was false. No, sorry. Foo is true, bar is false. Right? Foo is true, bar is false. Return the first false. Foo and Baz are both true, so return the last true value. Boom. Baz and Foo are both true, return the last true value. Cool. I will definitely see if I can highlight that later for your logical operations. And I repeat, there is a section called truthy and falsy things. Cool. When you get into once we eventually arrive at React, you will see developers and myself do logical operations for flow control. Okay? And what that means is, instead of using an if statement, which I will show you guys later, I do something like this. So with foo, if foo is truthy. Okay, so it would be cool. Foo and do something. Foo. Right? Right? So what you see here is return the last true value, and obviously I guess what was this? Does that work? Malformed arrow parameters. Okay, fine. Because it should return something, and the return value of that should end up being true. Do something should do something, and because it does something, it will have a value, and that value will return as true. So, and even if it returns false, it doesn't matter because foo is true. It just goes on and executes that function. Okay, that is one example. Set bar to Baz if bar is truthy, right? Otherwise, set it to the return value of bar. Cool. variable bar equals baz, or create bar. So remember the rules above. So maybe I deleted it prematurely, but like I mentioned beforehand, the or operator returns the value of the first truthy operator, right? So if baz exists and bar, and when I say if bar exists, undefined is false, right? Undefined is false. So if bar exists, if baz exists, we set bar to baz. If it exists and the value is truthy, set it to baz. Set bar to baz. If not, if baz is not truthy, you skip and you get it to the return value of create bar. Like I mentioned, create bar will be a function which executes and returns a value which should be truthy, and then you set it to bar. And once again, it isn't that important because you can still set bar to the value of create bar, because I mentioned beforehand the or operator sets it to the first truthy value, or if they're both false, sets it to the last falsy. Okay, it will set it to the last of both. If neither is truthy, it sets it to the last operator. So bar equals baz, or if baz is not truthy, whatever is on the right, or whatever resolves on the right. Oh, I'm definitely going to rewrite all of this. Any questions? Anything at all? Please, if there's anything that has not been clear, please do not in any way hesitate to shout at me and ask me to go over something again. Go over something again and explain it. Cool. Conditional code. Okay? Sometimes you only want to run a block of code under certain conditions. Flow control, like I showed you before. We can do that via if and else blocks. Hold on, because like I said, I have the script here. Let me save myself some time and just do this. Right? Ew. What the hell is going on here? Cool. Because I just realized we're an hour in, and I thought I'd be a lot further than here. Sometimes so here we go. Foo is true, bar is false. So if bar, right? Condition, if bar, what's the value of bar? False. So if bar, this is false, so this code will never run. You're never going to get hello. Why will you never get hello? Because this condition does not go through because bar is false. Wonderful. Now, if bar, same as above, this will never run. Neither of these two will ever run. But else. So if else, it's a Boolean situation in this scenario. So if this value is true, do this. Else, do this. And so we know foo is true because that's what we set it to above. So this code will run. Else, this code would run if foo and bar were both false. So let us play about here for a little bit. Okay, boom. Boom. I'm going to shrink this a little bit, sorry. Hopefully that's still readable, legible, and pass, hopefully you can still pass that on your screens. I don't know what devices you're using, whether it's mobile phone or otherwise, but here we go. I don't know how large this file is going to be, but let's go. So we know that bar is here, so hello. Cool. So hello 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa. 4. If I change the value of foo to false, what do you expect to see in the terminal? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello 4. Why do we see hello 4? It's because both values are false. You're not going to get hello 1 because bar is false. You're not going to get hello 2 because bar is false. You cannot get hello 3 because while bar is false, foo is also false. So you can only get hello 4 if both foo and bar are false. Cool. If let me just bar is false and foo is true. Cool. If I switch bar to true, what do we expect to see in the console? 3, 2, 1. Hello 1 and 2. Else will never run. We will never, as long as bar is true, foo does not matter, because bar can only foo can only be logged if bar is false. And that's how we go around on that. So these are conditionals. Please do take some time to play around with it. It's important. It's very good. You'll be using logic like this a lot once we get into, well, any level of programming. Conditionals run things. All right. Let's get to the thing that everybody hates JavaScript for. Truthy and falsy things. In order to use flow control successfully, it's important to understand which kinds of values are truthy and which kinds of values are falsy. Sometimes values that seem like they should evaluate one way actually evaluate another. For example, I showed you before that 0 is false, but a string 0 is true, because any string that is not empty is true. Right? Empty string, false. Empty string, false. Empty string, false. An empty array is true. An empty object is true. Any non-zero number is true. Whereas values that evaluate to false, 0, an empty string, not a number, null, and undefined. I will say that you must be careful with undefined, because undefined yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me, because I used it earlier, so let me Control R, Control R, Control R. Cool. Undefined. Foo is not defined, but let me do variable foo. So if I do this, foo is undefined. Cool. So be careful when you're using undefined, because undefined can be defined later. Okay? Please be careful. Undefined can be redefined. Now, ternary operators are another tool with regards to conditional variables. Right? I believe, and also just so you know, I believe everything I've done while I am displaying it to you in JavaScript, every feature should be visible and viable in all programming languages. In maybe their syntax is slightly different, but these primitives are definitely available in every main programming language which you use. Cool. So what I want to do is set foo to 1 if bar is true. Okay? Otherwise, set foo to 0. Now, I've already shown you if statements, basic conditionals. So if I can do variable foo, undefined, and then variable bar equals true. All right, so if bar equals true, foo equals 1, else foo equals 0. Right? That is one way of doing it. That is one way of doing it, and it works quite well. Foo equals 1 because bar equals true, right? Bar, set the value of true, check the value, is it true? Wonderful, because if I set if bar equals false, foo equals 0, right? That's a lot of text, admittedly, for just this one line. One thing that we are able to do is use a ternary operator and change it to something else. So I can say, let me comment this out and just say foo equals bar 1 0. So this is the exact same as that. All right, there are times to use it and times not to use it. Once again, over time I will be able to show you all when it is best to or when it's best not to. For readability, definitely take your time and write this out, but if it is as simple as this, a ternary is more than fine. Okay, a ternary operator tests a condition. If the condition is true, So a ternary operator tests a condition. If the condition is true, it returns a certain value. If it's false, it returns a different value. Okay? While the ternary operator can be used without assigning the return value to a variable, it is heavily discouraged because, you can definitely do. You can definitely do that. This is definitely still legal with a ternary operator, but it is heavily discouraged for the sake of readability. It is definitely better to have it here. Okay? Wonderful. All right. Switch statements. If we've gone to if, we should just do a switch statement now. Okay, this is something which is used in React for routing, right? We will definitely go through these a little later. And in fact, you'll probably be able to see its use right now. As you saw before, we have if statements. But it's very easy to end up in a situation where you are using a series of ifs, if, else blocks. Sometimes it can be useful to use a switch statement instead. Okay? I really don't know why that happens. But we move. I don't know why it's doing this to me, but we move. If you hate me, just say you hate me. Cool. All right. Switch statements look at the value of a variable or an expression and run different blocks of code depending on the value. So, the value of foo. Right? If the value of foo, if it equals bar, then the value was bar. Yay. If the value is baz, the case will go baz. If it is neither, you get the default, which is everything else is just okay. Right? This is the basic syntax for a switch statement. You could do instead, let me even show you what the if statement would be instead. If foo equals bar. Let me show you what it would look like else if foo equals baz. Okay. Cool. There is a keyword here which I'm going to show you or describe to you later during loops. But for right now, I'm going to leave it just for the sake of showing this. So, both this and this do the exact same thing. We check the value of foo, and depending on what the value of foo is, it does something else. Right? The difference is a switch statement is a lot easier to read than an if statement with else blocks and the like, because in the real world of coding, it is rarely ever more than this. If your conditions get more than this, chances are you will, well, in JavaScript, to be honest, you don't really use switch statements. In other languages, maybe, but not so much in JavaScript. Why? I just realized that it's probably best for me to show you. It's probably best to show you what people do really in JavaScript. It's we use objects, which I admit we haven't really gone over too much, but let me, stuff to do. Oh my gosh, it's actually quite a lot. Just literally just the absolute basics taking us, how long has that taken us so far? An hour 15? Okay. Just the absolute basics. Okay. Stuff to do. The variable bar. What do we do if it's bar? Well, we return a function which has an alert. The value is bar. Yay. Oh, no. What about if the value is something else? Baz. Boo Baz. Oh, easy there. Okay. And then we get default. Everything else is just okay. Okay? Wonderful. And you would use this in this manner. You would create this object, and then you would say if stuff to do foo I'm definitely going to have to properly write out exactly how objects work. Right? Else default. Right? And just like that. This is probably closer to how we do it in JavaScript in practice, while this is probably what is able to happen sorry. Let me start over. Sorry. While, yes, this is probably what happens in other programming languages and how people access things in other programming languages. You can have an if-else block, or you can have a switch statement. But due to the features in JavaScript, it is a lot easier to deal with the same behavior in this manner, where instead of just testing foo, where you test foo, or sorry, you test the value of foo once, twice, and then a fallout. Whereas you test the value of foo, you write down the value of foo once and you put each case, and then you got a fallout. In JavaScript, you're able to say, we don't know what foo is, but we know what we support. And for what we support, the action is this. If it is an action which we have support of, let it run. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put that there. Execute the function. If it's a value we have support of, let it run. If not, go for the default. I am definitely going to go into objects in depth a little bit later. I also do not know how long this is going to take. I didn't expect it was going to take an hour 18, hour 20 just to get this far. But that's the breaks. Once again, I will have all of this written. I did this live. And I realized that maybe it's not in the best order. And for that, I apologize. But we will go through everything which is the basics of the JavaScript language. We may or may not have time to manipulate the DOM, but the absolute basics of JavaScript will be done by the end of this session. Loops. Loops let you run a block of code a certain number of times. So, I will create a function or a program which will log try 0, try 1, try 2, 3, whatever, all the way up to 4, right? So, the simple way of doing this is a for loop. No, sorry, let me not use my shortcut, sorry. For, I open this, variable I equals 0, semicolon. I is less than 5, semicolon, I plus plus. Now, I'm going to break this down for you in a bit, but first, try plus I. Cool. Try 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I forgot to include 4. Okay, simple. It's a loop, right? Yeah. We're going to talk about scoping as well later on, but cool. The for loop. The for loop is made out of 4 statements, and it has the following structure: initialization, condition, iteration, loop body. So once again, initialization, condition, iteration. I need to turn that one off. Loop body. Okay? These are the 4 sections of a for loop. Okay? The initialization section is executed only once. Let me double check that no one has said anything yet. Still nobody speaking. Cool. I will currently assume that if nobody's saying anything, it's going well, and for some reason you guys haven't lost me and it's still, you know, easy-ish to understand. Where was I? Initialization statement is executed only once before the loop starts. It gives you an opportunity to prepare or declare any variables. The second section is the condition. The conditional statement is executed before each iteration, and its return value decides whether or not the loop is to continue. If the conditional statement evaluates to false or falsy, the loop stops. The iteration statement, conditional statement is this, so resolves to Boolean. Iteration statement is executed at the end of each iteration and gives you an opportunity to change the state of important variables. Typically, this will involve incrementing or decrementing a counter and thus bringing the loop ever close to its end. Okay? The loop body statement is what runs on every iteration. It can contain anything you want. You will typically have multiple statements that need to be executed, and so you will wrap them in a block. Okay? A typical for loop, much like this. Okay, so variable I equals 0. So like this is a typical for loop, right? So variable I is 0. Variable I is 0. Limit equals 100. For I is less than limit, as you see, I declared them both. I plus plus. So this block will be executed 100 times because in between 0 and 99, because less than limit. So less than 100 as integers is going to be 99. So there is 100 instances between 0 and 99. Currently at please note the last log will be 99. Cool. So let me just put that because it's going to definitely cause an issue there. How do I clear this? Wonderful. A loop. There we have it. Currently at 0, right? The very first loop, remember? Initialization, condition. Sorry. Let's go over what I just said. Initialization happens just once. Before anything else happens, you initialize all the values. The conditional happens before any of the iterations. Then you have the loop body. And then you have the iterator. In fact, let me even just write out the life cycle. Okay. Initialization. Please. Initialization happens only once. Okay. Condition happens before, happens only once before the loop begins. Condition happens before each iteration of the loop. Loop body. What occurs during every iteration. And then finally, we have iteration. Happens after each iteration of the loop. Okay? We have it in this order. Something interesting that you can do now is you can remove the iterator and have it here. Perfectly valid to do so. In fact, I'll show you. Oh, this is where they expose me as a fraud. Ha! If, as you can see, the exact same behavior occurs. Right? Cool. In fact, we can get rid of this as well. And just say, ooh, I don't know if that's going to work, but technically it should be possible. If I is less than limit. Oh, don't do that. Don't dox me. Does this also work? Yes, it does. A for loop. Just like that. In fact, let's go one more. One more. Let me put the variable beforehand equals 0. Variable limit equals 100. And do this. A for loop. Clear that. Run it again. Oh, code is already running. Ah, sorry. I messed up. What I've done now is made an infinite loop because there is nothing that actually stops this for loop from running, from stopping how it goes. And that's why my computer's been making all that noise. I mess up. Well, technically it's an infinite loop because there's nothing that breaks the for loop in and of itself. In fact, let me do this. I believe that should be enough. Oh, how do I can't stop the code from running. Gasp. Okay, copy, paste, just close that. Don't save. YOLO. Oh, okay, 1 second, guys. A big mess up. Big mess up. Oh, I could just do that. We good, we good. False alarm. I forgot to do a break. Always make a break clause for your infinite loops. So if I do this, it will go through. Once again, always include a break clause. But what is the point of doing a for loop if you're going to do this? Well, good point. You shouldn't. What you should use instead, if you must do this, is use a while loop. Right? A while loop. So a while loop works like this. Much like a for loop, you just have a condition and then you have a loop body. Looks familiar, right? So here's a typical while loop. It's going to look very familiar to what I just showed you. Stupid backticks not wanting to cooperate. Cool. We've got a while loop. Variable, you declare a variable wherever it is, and while that variable is less than 100, you execute that, currently at, and you increment. Nice and easy. It's going to output exact, oh, sorry. because that's not valid JavaScript, it started crying. Yeah. It's going to loop and log exactly the same thing as it did when I did the for loop with all the features removed. Right? While this, we need a way to break out of the loop. Okay? You notice that inside of a while loop, we have to increment the value within the loop's body, but it's actually possible to combine the conditional and increment. You know how to do this already, right? Boom. Just like that. Which is why you get this. From 1 to 99. You get 1 less, which is why we do less than or equal. Oh, is equal to or less than? No. Less than or equal to. From 1 to 100, because I want 100 of them, right? Less than or equal to. Less than and equal to. If I is less than or equal to 100, that's what that is. Or, of course, if you still want to get 100 of them, you can also just start with -1. I guess that'll be the easiest way to make sure you start at 0. And it's important to, how do I say this? It's important to increase it before you start rather than after you start, because if you do it after, I mean, it's still not going to be too much of a problem. Sorry, 1 second. Starts at 1 and goes to 100, but after it's being used, it gets there. So it starts at 1 and goes to 100. So if I say currently at I, it does the reason why you wouldn't want to do this is because the value of I here and the value of I here are different. Whereas if you do it like this, the value of I here and the value of I here are the same. It's definitely better for developer experience to do it this way, just so you don't have an invisible number or an invisible change. You can be aware that the number and the value has changed, but please do not stress yourself. Life is hard enough. An hour and a half, okay. Cool. Another change you can do is a do while loop. It's a bit of a change on this, where you can do while loop, right? Now, the reason why you would use a do while loop is if you wanted to make sure that the loop executes at least once, regardless of any condition. So do this while that is going on. And the major difference between this and the while loop is, once again, check first, then do. Do this once and then keep doing as long as this is truthy. So as you see, this is going to run at least once, right? The value, even though the check is false, you've done it once at least. That is the purpose of the do while loop. And as you can see, because of the nature of the do while loop, it is very, very rare since very few situations require a loop that blindly executes at least once. Regardless, it's good to be aware of it. It's nice to be aware that this exists. Now, breaking and continuing. Okay. Let us. Okay. We'll start with breaking because B is before C. It usually, a loop's termination will result from the conditional statement not evaluating false to true. But it's possible to stop a loop in its tracks from within the loop's body with the break statement. You have seen the break statement earlier, but let's show, let me just do this. For I is less than less than temp. Yeah. Okay. For I is 0, I is less than temp. If something happens. No, don't continue. We're doing that later. Break. Okay. So whatever happens, initializer, conditional, increment, right? Oh, sorry. Initialization, condition, increment, loop body. Now, if that something does not happen, all this stuff happens every iteration. Now, if something does not happen, all this stuff happens in every iteration. Okay, so this is what happens. You wish to break it. Okay, so let's say if I equals 9. Okay. We are at plus I. Okay. We are at 9. Okay, so what's going to happen here is, boom, we are at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once I equals 9, we break and we do not get to see anything after it. In fact, I can set it to 100 and the value will be the exact same. Okay, because you break. There is no need to continue looping through because this condition has been met. Break. There are a few reasons why you'd want to do this instead of just saying, oh, as long as I does not equal 9, right? So you could always do something like that, right? If I does not equal 9, do that, right? But maybe you want multiple. Maybe you want to say, we're going to try 100 times to do this thing. And if this thing succeeds, you can now say celebrate and then break. Okay, so I equals 0, max attempts equals 100, and now we can say that let I equals 0. Okay, sorry, let me even just say this. 1, 2, 3. Oh. 1, 2. Let attempts. Cool. We are at attempts, right? There we go. Let me just do this. Celebrate equals function that returns CLG. Woohoo! Cool. Just so that it doesn't break. If this thing succeeds. And let's just do this. Const. Whoa. Cool. I have to put this inside there, so just const this one succeeds equals attempts equals 9. Okay, there we go. A little over engineered, but as you can see, oh sorry, hold on. We're at 0 attempts, 1 attempt, 2 attempts, 8 attempts. On the 9th attempt, woohoo, right? We celebrate. So we can, that is why you would want to do a break, because once you celebrate, you've got what you needed. What value is there in doing 81 other attempts? 0. Still no messages, no comments, no nothing. All right, cool. We Gucci. No worries. Now, what about skipping an iteration? This is how you break out of the loop altogether. But what about if you want to skip to the next iteration? Okay. Let's say const this is not worth trying equals attempts modulo 3 equals 0. Basically what this is going to say is if it's easily if it's divisible by 3 with no remainder. Okay, so we skip. If it's there, it breaks. I have to put it afterwards, otherwise it's going to skip. You know what? Modulo 4. Yeah, so we don't have to do that. Now, if this is not worth trying, there is no need to celebrate. We just go continue, right? So what is it that we're going to see here? Let me just forget the skip, right? Let's not break out. Let's just actually see the output. 1, 2, 3, modulo 4. So why do we not get to see 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, etc.? Why? Because we skipped them. This is not worth trying. The value of this is not worth trying means attempt number. So attempt 4, modulo 4, divide by 4. What is the remainder when you divide by 4? That's what this is saying. What is the remainder when you divide by 4? So the attempts number, the remainder of the attempts when you divide by 4 equals 0. This is not worth trying. Just continue. Don't bother. And remember that whatever is in here is supposedly a super expensive calculation which could take up processing time or just cost you a lot of money when running on services. Cool? Like searching a database or whatever. Just click continue. That is the reason why we do such. That was an interesting one. I assure you the write-up will be a lot clearer. Reserved words. JavaScript. Reserved words. I literally just have a list of them here. JavaScript has a number of reserved words, or words that have special meaning in the language. You should avoid using them in your code except for when you're using them with their intended meaning. Okay, so the list of them is here. Oh, okay. Let me do this. Cool. Abstract, Boolean, break, byte, case, catch, char, class, const, continue, debugger, default, delete, do, double, else, enum, export, extend, final, finally, float, for, function, go to, if, implements, import, in, instance of, int, interface, long, native, new, package, private, protected, public, return, short, static, super, switch, synchronized, this, throw, throws, transient, try, type of, var, void, volatile, while, with. Let me just make sure that there's one missing. Let. That is another protected word. Sorry, I was like, oh, there's definitely, yeah, that's the only one there, right? Yeah, let, because that's, yeah. I have to include let there. I have to remember to add that to my list later. Cool. Now, remember when I was talking to you about primitives? I showed you arrays and I showed you objects. Now I must apologize because I did not properly introduce them to you. But we do that now. We get it in now. Arrays in JavaScript are a zero indexed list of values. They are a handy way to store a set of related items of the same type, such as strings, though in reality, an array can include multiple types of items, including other arrays. So, a very simple array. Variable my array equals shorthand. Once again, you know the vibes. You know the vibes. World. Okay? My array, hello world. Technically, how do I do this? Okay, we'll leave it for right now. Do I introduce sets now? Do I introduce set now? Oh, this is that wrong one. Oh, where is it? Did I really just cover the whole thing? What is this? Sorry, hold on. Oh, that's really just, okay, fine. Can't be mad at that. Okay. Okay, fine. No biggie. Okay, my array, hello world. How do you access values inside of an array? Well, simple. Hello world, foo bar. Okay? Remember, arrays are zero index. Arrays are zero index. So if I want to access a value of an array, I simply just do this. My array, I use a square bracket to access the third index. Remember, there's zero index, so index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. Hold on, let me just, cool. 0, 1, 2, 3. This should log for me bar. Oh. That's how you access items in an array. You access them by index. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to check the size of the array. Much like I did before with strings, I can just do a dot. Oh, I love autocomplete. Length. So my array has how many items in it? 4 items. The third index, and the fourth item is the third index because it starts at 0, is bar. The third index, because it starts at 0. In fact, let me show you this. Hello. Index 0 is hello. 0, 1, 2, 3. So the third index is the fourth item. Still no comments? No, nothing? Okay. Okay, fine. Is that. That's the size. Now, I want to change the value of an array. Oh, wait. Array or 0 indexed. Okay. Okay. How annoying. Okay. Cool. Checking the value of the array. Checking the length of the array. Changing the value of an array item. You may remember this from when I was showing you why switch statements aren't used so much in JavaScript. You may remember a similar sort of notation, but not so much. Well, this is the exact same way. This is the index in the same way in the object. Hello was the index, but we'll get to objects right after this. Okay. Hello world foo bar. I want to change the value of the index 1. Okay, so my array 1 equals changed. Okay, I want to now log my array. Okay, I want to log the value of my array, and so I will. Hello changed foo bar. Okay, so if I do it like this now, world, there's 4 items. In fact, let me move this one above. Okay, checking the length of the array, and now I check the value, I change the value, and then I now log it again, right? So in fact, let me, cool. Accessing a value in the array, changing the value in the array, cool. Whoo, I was teaching things not for the weak. Cool. Hello world foo bar, world. Hello changed foo bar. Wonderful. Is there anything else? I want to add an element to the array, right? Okay, so hello world is the array. I want to now say my array dot push I wish to push an item to the array. And so it's going to look like this. Sorry, let me just, yeah. It's going to look like this. Hello, changed, new. Hello, changed, new. So with that, you'll be able to add an item to the array at any time. And that's how that goes. Now, let us do a quick exercise with array, just so you can see how that works. Okay, so if I say my array equals, it's this H E L L. I thought it would be smart enough. I'm gonna say the robots aren't taking over anytime soon. Okay, we have an array called with this, right? So if I say my array, if I log that, oh, sorry, let me clear the previous one. If I log that, as you can see, it's an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. One thing you can now do is run a function on this array which returns this variable, my string equals my array. See, it already knows. My array dot join. So what this is going to do is take every item of the array. Actually, let me show you. Cool. My array dot join. It's going to add all the elements of an array into a string separated by the specified separator string. So array.string.join. Will it let me? Cool. So it's a method, which is why it's got the round brackets. It takes in an array of the type string and you join them together with a separator value, which is optional, and it outputs a string. This is TypeScript notation, which I will introduce you guys all to later. But what matters for now is my string is going to be this. Cool. There you go. This is my array. This is my string. If I want to put spaces, I can, because this is what's going to appear in between every element in the array. If I want to now look funny, HELLO, whatever you want to have in between each character or each element of the string of the array, you get to do so. And there is no issue. Now, of course, you now have a string, but what is a string? A string is always going to be an array of characters, right? So variable my split equals my string, no spoilers, split by every character. So let me hover over that. String split, separator or reg expression. We're not dealing with that anytime soon. We can have a limit to however they are, but for now, split a string into substrings using the specified separator and return them as an array. So my split. So we go here, we click here, and we run it. We got my array, which we logged first. We joined all the elements of the array with, oh, sorry, let me just make sure that, sorry. We got my array, and every element of the array we have joined with an empty string, so there is nothing in between each element. And then we've got my string, which we see here. We then take my string and split my string on every character, and we receive an array of every character. Now, if you do not input join, what exactly happens? Let's see, because we have to do it for science. You keep the commas. The default value is commas, so please always remember to have a separator if this is what you intend to do. What have I done? My string split. Did I just not do it in time? That's weird. I don't want to debug right now, personally. That's what I thought. Cool. So that's arrays. Very simple. If you want to see everything an array can do, which is a lot, actually, I would suggest we go to a website like this. This is going to be a website which you're going to use always. developer.mozilla.org. Literally, let's just array JavaScript. First one is W3 Schools. They're better now, but you really want developer.mozilla. You click there, you end up here. And here it'll give you a full description. The array object, as with arrays in other programming language, enables storing a collection of multiple items under a single variable name and as members for performing common array operations. Wonderful. JavaScript arrays aren't primitives, instead array objects with the following core characteristics. Remember, I named the primitives, but I did not go in on arrays or objects. JavaScript's arrays are resizable and can contain a mix of different data types. JavaScript's arrays are not associative arrays, and as so, array elements cannot be accessed using arbitrary strings as indexes, but must be accessed using non-negative integers or their respective string forms as indexes. Okay, so what they mean is the only way to access the letter O is by doing this. There's no way for you to just do that. That's not going to work. You cannot do my array O because it is non-associative arrays. Okay, that's what it's saying there. You must reference them in that manner with a non-negative integer. JavaScript arrays are zero indexed. The first element of an array is at index 0, the second is at index 1, and so on. And the last element is at the value of the array's length property -1. So if I wanted to, an easy way of displaying that is if I do a for loop. Whoa, what? Oh, because I was, okay, that's cool. Okay, scaring me, man. Cool. As I was saying, for let I my array dot length element equals char my array dot r clg char. So what we're doing here, although it's a little fast, I'm sorry, that was a little fast. I'm creating a for loop. I'm initializing I as 0. And much like I showed you before, you can get the length of the array. As long as I is less than the length of the array, you get to continue the loop. And then after every iteration, you iterate or increase I +1. So if I clear this and I run this again, you get every element in the array. So you can access every element in the array because the length of the array is 5, but the last index is 4. Remember, I starts at 0, much like an array, and because it's less than, you get length. In fact, if I do this, I expect there to be undefined or an error. Undefined. Because array index 5 is undefined. There we go. Here are all the methods available with an array. Right? Array.at, concat, copy within, entries every, fill, filter, find index, find last index, flat map for each, from, so on, includes, index of, is array, join, Rather than overwhelming you with literally all of these, I feel that either giving you this link here or how to find this page, sorry, dark mode. Oh, okay, fine. Rather giving you this page or giving you projects where you have to interact with arrays and then figure out how you want to do this thing may be a little bit better. So I'm not going to just chuck all of these here because I don't actually think that's valuable to you, because you can just come in here and see, okay, so what is index of? Well, the index of property returns the first index at which a given element can be found in the array, or -1 if it's not present. Okay, what does that mean? Well, const, variable index equals my array. They're listening. Index of L. Okay. So, what are we expecting to see here? Index 2 or index 3? What are we expecting? Oh, easy there, buddy. Easy there. Index 2 or index 3? 2, because it returns the first index. And much like that, you can go through, click through, and find out everything arrays are able to do. Not just arrays either. You have array, you have date, you have numbers, and so on and so forth. But let's talk about objects. Whew. Okay. What? It's 2 hours, 10 minutes. Okay, fine. I'm so glad I recorded this, but I will definitely re-record episode 1 or chapter 1 once I get to the end. We are 2/3 through my notes. We're getting there. Hopefully. I say, really? 3 hours in my first video? Oh, I'm not doing this often. Objects. Objects contain one or more key value pairs. The key portion can be any string. The value portion can be any type of data. A number, a string, an array, a function, or even another object. Now, when one of those values is a function, we call it a method of that object. Otherwise, they're called properties. Okay? In JavaScript specifically, everything is an object. Arrays, functions, numbers, even strings, they all have properties and methods. Now, let's create an object literal. Variable my object equals, woo, there we go. There we go, here's an object. Let us give it a method. Right? Call a function that returns, let's see, hello. Right? My object, let's say my name. What are we gonna call this one? What are we gonna call this one? Who has been speaking? No, let me not dox people. We'll say Rebecca. Right? Who doesn't love a Rebecca? Function. Now, if we say CLG. That's interesting. So if I say my object dot say hello, I call that method. And it's even giving you the highlighting to show that, yo, this is a function. But if I say I want to print something, my object dot my name, what's it going to do? Oh, sorry. Clear it, run it, hello. So my object has said hello, and the name of this object is Rebecca. There we go. These are objects in JavaScript, and everything in JavaScript is an object. Here's a note. When creating object literals, you should note that the key portion can be written as any valid JavaScript identifier, a string wrapped in quotes, or a number. Okay, so for example, okay, valid identifier, and obviously the value can be anything in JavaScript. 6, and of course you can have 789 be that. As you can see, let's see if I can do this. CLG my object. Will that work? Will it require me to JSON stringify that? No, it gave it, as you can see, 789, which is a number. It coerced it into a string so that it can be accessed to be printed. Valid identifier didn't need to be coalesced because, you know, it's just a key, nice and easy. Some string, because there's a space in it, it needs to coalesce it to a string so it can be accessed. As you can, objects, this is considered an object literal. And object literals are very great and useful for organizing your code. Okay? Functions. Oh, hold on, sorry, I forgot. Accessing objects, accessing values in your object. Valid identifier. One, two, three. You can't do, will it even try it? Ah, okay. See, 789, because that's the value there. 0, some string. There you go. This is why I ask everyone to download VS Code, because that saves everybody a lot of time. Object literal, meaning it knows what the values of each item is and how best to access it. As you saw, if it's valid identifier, it will just, you can just do dot. There's no gaps between the strings, you could just write it out. If not, it is for the best for you to do this, which is exactly the same and will never, you know, lead you astray. You can do 789 here in the exact same way, right? Square brackets is an accessor, and then you just say, what is it you're trying to access? Those are objects. Functions. We're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. Functions contain blocks of codes that need to be executed repeatedly. Functions can take 0 or more arguments and can be optionally return a value. Functions can be created a variety of ways. Well, let's go function foo. Do something, right? That's how it goes. Or that's a basic function declaration. All right. Function declaration. Named function expression would be variable bar equals function do something, right? I prefer the named function expression method of setting a function. For some in-depth and technical reasons, you are likely to use both, or you will be able to see both in other people's JavaScript code. But as you've seen me do, I use what is considered Es6 syntax, where I would be doing var baz equals arguments, arrow, boom, and inside that obviously do something. All of these are equivalent. All of these are equivalent. Every one of them. They're the same. So if you see them, just know this is a function. Well, chances are you won't see variable in ES6. You'll see something like that. Const bar baz. I'll go over const and lets when we get to like block scoping. But yeah, these are how you declare functions in JavaScript. Using functions, variable greet equals function, let's say person greeting. Oops, what do I want to do? Var text equals greeting plus comma plus person, right? Console log text. Okay, there we go. Now, if I say Greet. Who am I? What is the person? Who am I greeting? Once again, Rebecca. Wonderful. What is the greeting we will use? Hello. Okay. I'm going to walk you through what has just happened here. Hello, Rebecca. Wonderful. Let's go. Oh. Okay. Let's go. This is a function. A function has arguments, 0 or more, like I mentioned beforehand. This one has 2. So this function receives 2 arguments, and these are variables. So there is a variable called person and a variable called greeting. Inside it, I am defining a new variable called text. And the value of text is the greeting variable plus a comma, space, and then the person variable. I then console.log. This is encapsulated. Now, when I wish to greet or use the variable or function, I simply call the function name, the variable function, pass in the name of the person I wish to greet, and what greeting I would like to use. So, of course, it's not just like that, but because I've defined the variable, I can do this as many times as I want. What is it? Dorcas Mbote. What is it? What's the Nigerian name? What's the Nigerian name? Yoruba. What is it? Ekaro. I don't know how to do that in. Yeah, okay, fine. Ekaro? Maybe. What's the Nigerian name? I don't know. Funke. Can't go wrong. Old Faithful. Right? So, we do that. So we clear this, we run that. There you go. Hello, Rebecca. Mbote Dorcas Ekaro Funke. Simple. Painless. I hope. If not, I'm sure someone would say something. Cool. 2 hours, 40 minutes. Okay. We move. So that's how you use functions. Now, what if we want to return a value? Well, simple. I want to return text rather than console logging it, right? Return text. So now the value, so greet will return a value, which means if I want to read it in the console, I would have to do this, right? Console.log greet Dorcas Mbote. Remember, the value of greet here is what it resolves to. And what does greet Dorcas Mbote resolve to? Is, of course, the text Mbote, comma, Dorcas. Boom. Now, let us get a function that returns another function. Okay? We have a person, we have a greeting. Variable text is greeting and person. Instead of returning text, we can return a function that returns a console.log text. Right? That will be what is returned. So we're returning a function. So we're not going to console log this, because the return of this is a function, right? The return of greet is a function, which means we need to call greet like that. I don't know, is that clear to see? I don't know if that's clear to see. Returns nothing because it's not called. It returned a function. Let me do this. Var greet Dorcas equals greet this. So now I do greet Dorcas like that. I think that might be clearer for you to see. Mbote Dorcas. Of course, this is the exact same as, oh, easy there, this. This is the exact same as this because you execute a function with this symbol. Of course, the function takes no arguments. So because the function takes no arguments, you can just put that there. Of course, if I needed to put that addition text addition, right? Greet Dorcas. Undefined. Okay, you don't need that, but just letting you know why you execute the function. Mbote Dorcas. Where are we? This is nice, but let us see. There are some times where you'll be in JavaScript writing and you will need to do a self-executing anonymous functions. And there's a very clear and easy reason why you would want to do this, okay? I will explain after I show you how to do it. Still no messages, no comments, nothing? All right, cool. Okay, make sure I got my notes. I got my notes. Cool. Self-executing anonymous function. So, of course, we know how functions are defined. We have a function that does this, and because I haven't named it, I just said function, right? And I just say variable foo equals hello world, just like that. What's this? Identifier expected. No, it's not expected because I can say that, and just like that, a self-executing anonymous function is right there. So CLG foo. Take a moment and think about what this is going to resolve to. Free. Ooh, easy there. 3, 2, 1. Foo is not defined. Now, why is foo not defined? Because it's out of scope. This is a self-executing anonymous function, and the variable is defined inside of its scope. If I move this up into there and then run it, foo has the value of hello world. But outside of those brackets, no sir. Okay? A common pattern, you will see this a few times, but this creates a function expression and then immediately executes the function. This pattern is extremely useful in cases where you want to avoid polluting the global namespace with the code. No variables defined or declared inside of the functions are visible outside of it. As you can see, foo is, there you go. Right? Wonderful. I showed you this just a while ago, but let's say functions as arguments. In JavaScript, functions are first-class citizens. They can be assigned to variables or passed to other functions as arguments. Okay? So, my function equals function fn. Stop that. Var results equals fn. Result. Cool. Now, this is an interesting function because the way you would use it would be my function, and what I pass into it is a new function and that function returns hello world. Okay? So, what is happening here? My function is a function with one argument. That argument must be a function because you're calling it. And it must be a function that returns a result, and then you console log it. My function okay, let's do this. Sorry, I just really want this to be very clear and readable. Return okay, so I pass in that. My function is a function that takes a function as a argument. Hello world. Because this function returns hello world. When I pass it in, it is executed. It returns hello world. Hello world is now the value of result, and you console log the result. All right. There we go. Just like that. Passing a named function as an argument. Cool. Okay. I showed you before the type of, so I feel that let me go through them again. Testing types. Testing types. 3 hours. Jesus Christ. Okay. JavaScript offers you the way of testing types. We already know that. Let's do this. Right? We already have my. Okay. Okay, my array, and then we got my string and my number, okay? Hello. Cool. Cool. So, let's go type of my function. Object, my array, my string, my number. Don't do this to me. Cool. All right. One, two, three, four, five. Okay. Let me just do this for now. If I do that, does that actually work for me? Okay, no, it doesn't. Okay. Cool. Type of, is this really gonna do that to me? Oh, it's just telling me what it can be. Oh, what a wow. Okay. How fun. And if I just do, I'm gonna find an extension that lets me do this a little bit quicker. Oh wait, never mind. Let me take all of this, go to the browser, refresh, paste, boom. Now, let's do this. Almost forgot I had this. Type of my function. So type function. My array. So type object. My number, type number. My object, object. My string, string. Cool. Right? Now, something interesting. Remember, null is an object. Undefined is undefined. Okay? Now, type of my array is going to be object. But remember, we have... Oh, did I show you that? I did not show you that because this is the time to show you that. Where is Mozilla? Okay. Is array. There we go. There we go. Is array. So, array dot is array. My array. True. That is what you would do if you want to confirm if something is an array, because obviously my array, type of my array is object, but you can then have the primitive function, primitive, but the function which is on an array to say is array, my array, true. That is what we do. That's what you should always do. Another way, if you want, to make life difficult for yourself, you could say if my array dot push, right, and my array dot slice, and of course my array dot join. Right? If all three of them exist, I guess, probably an array. Probably an array. This is this is what we call duck checking, This is called duck checking because, right? So we know my array is probably an array, clear that, run it. My array is probably an array. This is considered duck checking. Why? We know functions that exist on my array that do not exist on my object. Okay? Object does not have functions such as push, slice, and join. Those are unique to arrays. Well, I mean, they are on string as well. These two are on string as well, but you would check. You don't need to check that for string. So if my array is not string, does not. Type of my array does not equal string, right? So if the type of my array is not string, because we already know that my string came up with string. We already know that it's string, but my array does not come up as string. So we already know type of my array does not equal string. You can say, can you push to it? Can you slice it? Can you join it? Boom. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, moves like a duck, it's a duck. Gang, gang. I feel that it's time to talk about scope. How much do I have left? After scope, what have I written? Scope and then closures. Okay, guys, the end is near. We've got 2 more topics. Scope. Okay. Is there any comments, references, anything at all? No? Okay, fine. Scope. Scope refers to the variables that are available to a piece of code at any given time. A lack of understanding of scope can lead to frustration and horrendous debugging experiences. When a variable is declared inside of a function using the var keyword, it is only available to code inside of that function. Yeah? As you can see, scope. This is block scoped inside of that function. Bar is not defined. We saw this before. The scope of the function is there. On the other hand, functions defined inside of that function will have access to the declared variable. So, you know, for bar, but obviously, ooh, easy there. Right? Oh, it's just not going to like it because it doesn't want it to happen at all. Cool. Interesting. Oh, because foo is a function. Cool. Silly me. Cool. Furthermore, variables that are declared inside of a function without the variable keyword are not local to the function. I repeat, variables that are declared inside a function without the var keyword are not local to the function. JavaScript will traverse the scope chain all the way up to the window to find where the variable was previously defined. If the variable was not previously defined, it will be defined in the global scope, which can have extremely unexpected consequences. Okay, so let's do this. Var foo is hello. Var say hello equals. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this out. Once again, this is the very same way of saying just make sure that that's actually doing what I want it to do. Okay. Right? Cool. These two are exactly the same, right? These two are exactly the same. I just prefer this. Okay. Cool. So if I say hello, COG foo. In the console, from what I said, foo is declared outside of the function. The function is accessing foo from outside. What is going to turn up in the terminal on the output? Both of them, right? Foo is a variable in the, as high a scope as I've given this file. Say hello is a function which is going to console log a variable. It cannot find the variable inside, so it will go outside of the scope as high as it can, and it will find foo. Say hello will run this function, console log variable. Where is it? Can't find it here. Let's look up. It's there. Wonderful. Console log foo. Well, that's just a variable. It will be found. Now, let's try this again and move this here. What is going to happen? Well, we've seen this before. It's going to cry because foo is not defined on this line. So if I comment it out, you only get one. Variable foo is defined inside of this function, and nothing outside of this block has access to this foo. Okay, now easy. Variables can exist in multiple places because of the block scope. So if I say world here and I uncomment this, what do you believe is going to happen after what we just discussed? Three, two, one, go. Hello, world. What has happened here is that foo exists globally, and so console log has access to it here. You know, this console log has access to the global foo. Say hello created a block, and inside that block foo was defined. So when console log is trying to access this variable, it doesn't have to leave the block, so it can stay in its own world and access that. Now, while this is possible, it is ill-advised because it makes reading your code a lot harder. It is less understandable. Also, it is not good coding practice in 2022 to write functions like this. Oh, well, to write functions like this, it's not. It is a lot better to say this. That is a better way of writing functions. It is considered a pure function, meaning every time you call this function, it will do the exact same thing because the value you give it will define its behavior. Because foo can be changed by anything. So the first time this function runs, foo will say world. But what if I say, okay, as it goes right now, foo will say world. And if you expect foo to say world all the time, you would be wrong. Because before say hello runs, I can set foo to equal hello. And now what will come up? Hello, hello. So regardless of this function, and while yes, this effectively makes it do the same thing, it is still better because it's a pure function with no side effects, no blind dependencies. We will see a lot of this when writing in React. It's considered, you know, functional programming. I am getting fatigued, so I will now deal with closures and then call it a day. Right? I'll just say closures and then call it a day. Yeah. I'll definitely try to do smaller classes and shorter lessons, but I feel that getting everything out there at once is definitely of high value. Scope. Closures. Closures are an extension of the concept of scope. Functions have access to variables that were available in the scope when the function was created. If that's confusing, don't worry. Closures are generally best understood by example, but I'll say it again, and of course it is written. Closures are an extension of the concept of scope. Functions have access to variables that were available in the scope when the function was created. In the sense that functions can see changes in variables values after the function is defined. you will know that functions have access to changing variable values. The same sort of behavior exists with functions defined within loops. The function sees the change in the variable's value even after the function is defined, resulting in all clicks alerting 5, right? So in the sense that okay, let me show you. Okay, let me just show you this. Functions. Let me before we go into closures. I'm sure I already did this. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So variable my function equals okay, so var foo equals hello. Var my fn equals console log foo equals world. Return my function. Okay. Yeah. F equals my function. Okay. Now, do we see what is happening here? Functions can see the changes in variable values after the function is defined. Variable foo, hello. My function equals console log foo. Foo equals world. Return my function. Okay? Variable f equals my function. If I run this function, f, what is going to get logged? Hello or world? Well, if you can read that and you paid attention to the example I gave before about impure functions, you will know that if I do this, not F90 but F, it logs world. Why? The value of foo changed before my function was called. Because if I do this, we're going to get hello world, right? We should get them both. Yeah, hello world. This ran the function before the change of value of foo. Okay? Before foo changed, I ran the function, but foo has now changed value. My function is being returned. It's sitting here, right? So my function returns a function that returns void. This is the function that was returned that returns void. So foo returns void. This is void. So console.log is the console that returns void. F. Right? I removed that. World. Functions can see the change in variables after the function is defined. This is about scope. Now, as you saw there in that example, functions have access to the changing variable values. All right? So that same sort of behavior exists with functions defined within loops. the function sees the change in variable's value even if the functions are defined, resulting in everything alerting 5. So so if I just do 4 and it's less than 5, I plus plus, right? Console log I, right? No, this works best in the browser. Sorry, let me do. How am I gonna do this real quick? Can I do this quickly? Let me see if I can do this real quick. Okay. Sorry, my brain's going really blank. I think it's gonna. Create elements button. No, I don't know. I don't think that's how it works. That's not how it works, is it? No, there's no way, is it? Okay. Let's go. Let's do this. Equals document.create element. Okay, new button exists, right? Now if I say document.append child new button. Oh. No. Only one element on document allowed. Okay. Let me look for an easy way of doing this. Is that there? Is that going to appear? Alright, YOLO. Okay, there we go. YOLO. Equals. Cool. Okay. Oh, did it not save? It didn't save, did it? This is why. Cool. Button ID A ambassador. Wonderful. So now I should be able to do something. I just wanted to give an example of why this isn't going to do what we think it's going to do. But I want to click a click handle. I want to do a. Okay, let me just. Okay. Sorry, that's just what happens at a certain time when sundown hits. My computer changes my button equals document dot query Oh, did it really just disappear? Oh, fuck, all the way off. Sorry for my language. It really just got rid of my button. You know what? Okay. I will give you a demo. It's going to be visible, and it won't have JavaScript. Oh, jQuery. It will be pure JavaScript, the way, you know, the Lord intended. But for now, let's just... Oh, that was so annoying. Okay. Well, basically, the issue is if I created 5 buttons on the page, right? What I wanted to do was programmatically create 5 buttons on this page. In plain JavaScript, I should definitely have had this code ready. I didn't think it was going to be like 3 hours in. So sorry, and my mouth is parched. If I create a function which says, okay, click me, and the click me button says, okay, you know what, boom, right? I don't know why I used, cool, right? So if I wanted to append all of that in, gross. Document.create child. Is that not the thing? Oh, it's append child. Ugh. Document dot element. Document dot create element button dot append child. Ah, okay. That's where I went wrong. Sorry. Okay, so this is Chrome new tab page. New tab page here. Cool. So let me just make sure that I have this doing what I want it to do. Const p equals document dot create element. Oh. Cool. Now I say document dot body dot append child p. Suddenly inspect. It's there. Okay, it's there, bottom left. All right, cool. I knew I wasn't dumb. Which means that if I do this, okay, document.create element button, it's not an append child just yet. Cool. So create element button, and I say, okay, so yeah, dot ID equals plus I I'm so out of it right now. Let me just use Oh, wait. New button.id equals. Why is it doing that? Cool. New button.id. What is it? How do I put inner text? In HTML equals is that not how this works? There you go. Inner text, okay, there we go, just like that. I feel that's so annoying. Now I just want to do document.body.append child. I want to see what this does for me. Because it's really jarring. As a non-passive event listener, I just wanted to see if it's there. Yeah, the buttons are all there, they're just not inside. There we go. Ugh, gross. Gross, 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 gross. Gross. Ugh. Gross. Now. If I say new button dot add event listener, gross, click, the function will finally be. I am so sorry that took you so long. That took me so long. We are on number I. Okay. If this doesn't do what I thought it was gonna do, I'm just gonna shut this down. Just gonna shut this all down. And it was even the wrong window, so I didn't mess up. I just clicked the wrong window. Okay, come see life. You see how life loves to just, treat me well. Cool. So, if I click this, but no, it should be, you are on number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. We have reached the beginning of the requirements for closures. It only took me too long. Within 15 minutes, I promise I'm letting you all go. Within 15 minutes, I promise. So, if you were to create 5 buttons, yeah, if we were to create 5 buttons and set the value of the on-click handler to them to say we are on number I, you would maybe intuitively expect when I click me 0, I should get we are on number 0. But no. Why? Because the value of I changes. You get? The value of I changes. Now, how do we lock in the value of I? Well, we can lock the value of I in with a closure, right? We close the value of I inside create function so it won't change. Okay, so for example, create function equals, I create this function with the value of I, and then I return a function that alerts we are on number, whatever, right? We are on number I. Do you see that? We create a function, pass in I, and then the function inside of it is a function. This is called a closure. Alright? So, when you append, instead of the onClick handler, doing this, it can just do how would I put this in? Create function I believe that should be it. Cool. So, oh yeah, I have to copy all of that, because when I refresh this, it's all going to be gone. I click here, I do that, scroll down, click me, we are number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is how you use a closure. And you use a closure with the purpose of locking in a value. As you saw before, without the closure, the value of I changed afterwards. But because we returned a function with that value as it was locked in, it moved out. And because the value of create function is this, right? The value of create function is that, not that. So I can't change after it has been created. So this is a value, and when it gets called on click, you get that. That is a closure. I'm definitely going to go through this again when we're talking about callbacks, but I believe that taking 3.5 hours of your time is way more than enough. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. And thank you for enduring through this lesson. We're going to be doing, since we got the basics of JavaScript, the language out of the way, we're going to be doing this from the next session. The next session, what we're going to do is create a working calculator in the browser. That is the next session. Once again, thank you and goodbye.